They are rowdy. Oh man. All right, there we go, guys. Finally got a win. Hopefully in the next video these things aren't coming out again. What's up, guys? And today we finally get the Sterndrives on my 1985 Formula 302 SR1. This is a TRS Sterndrive install video with a little bit of extra, but a long way coming for this boat project. So here you go. Enjoy. All right, a really important step here is engine and transmission alignment with the Sterndrive housing or your transom assembly. So I still have the engine hoist up here. I've just adjusted these side to side, up, down, we're good to go. But side to side, I want the steering aligned, and I want both engines to have the alignment tool slide in the exact same way for both. I don't want to have to adjust my transom assemblies to fit one versus the other. They should both slide in the exact same, and then this brass tool here is crucial to the alignment of the housing. Now remember, these can pivot up and down, and they will with drive trim. There's a U-joint coupler on the drives themselves that these are easier to show you over here, but this one's a piece of junk, but this coupler here is what's going to allow the drive to go up and down. So our straightness is what's most important, so this shaft goes all the way into the transition properly. So here, I'll show you. I've got it damn near perfect for both of them right now. This tool should go all the way into that bevel, aligns with the brass, and then spin flawlessly by hand. And then I can actually push this brass piece in and it couples perfectly. There's no drag or resistance side to side. So if I pull that out, go to my starboard engine, I'm not going to move my transom assemblies. This thing with a little bit of up down, I'm holding a camera at the same time, but should slide right in. There you go. And then the brass coupler go right into the drive housing. And then see that went in the rest of the way there. Push this guy in a little bit more, and then look, just spins perfectly with no drag resistance. Honestly, I can't tell which one's better, but there you go. So I'm happy, we're straight. This should make our Sterndrive installation very easy, but it's the first thing that we need to do before we get rid of the gantry, is make sure that engine alignment is as perfect as you can get it. But I like that. I like that a lot. I'm gonna keep this one inserted. That starboard engine's already tightened up. I'm gonna keep this one inserted till I get my port engine all tightened here. 6 bolts, you know the drill. We got two on each side for the front mount, right there, right there, and the 2 big boys in the back for the transmission. One right here, 15/16, one right there, 15/16, and a big nut on the bottom. So pretty happy. They're the same level. They're aligned nicely. I've got the hoist loose, so we'll get these zipped up quick with our tools and move on. All right, well, I got the port engine buttoned up, shifting linkage back on, water pickup, and the mounts tightened down. That was about it. So it's tucked in place, and I'm actually going to tuck this away for right now. So I'm going to slide my rear seat back out of the way. I'm going to connect it so it's locked in, and then I'm going to lower my engine hatch and leave that be. I'm leaving the belts off the engines for now. The next priority here is the stern drives. So we're gonna go down there. I'm gonna show you how to install these TRS stern drives. One important note in that is that both the engines are left-hand rotation. So if you're facing them, they spin clockwise. If you're facing with them, they spin counterclockwise. So our drives specifically are counter-rotating. So the drives themselves are going to be a counter-rotation drive with a left-hand rotation engine. So this direction with how the boat is aligned right now. I got to make sure I put the right drive on the right side and the left drive on the left side. So when I go look at the drives over there, I'll show you guys. We're going to spin the input shaft in that left-hand rotation, that counter or that clockwise rotation, and we'll be able to tell from the output shaft which one's counter-rotating and which one's regular rotation. The drives are always in gear, so remember in the TRS transmissions with these velvet drive transmissions, which these specifically are 1-to-1, they spin the same direction as the engine. So if the engine's turning clockwise, the velvet drive's turning clockwise. All the shifting's done in the velvet drive for forward and reverse. The drives themselves are always in the same gear technically, so there's no shifting going on in the drives like in a Bravo or an Alpha. These are just one gear, so one spins one way, one spins the other, and your forward and reverse is all done via the velvet drive transmission. So let's hop down there to the back of the boat and we'll start talking about TRS stern drives. Okay, TRS stern drives. First and foremost, this has got to be one of the heaviest drives that are out there. It's much heavier than the Bravo 1, the Bravo XR. It's heavier than a Bravo 3, and obviously heavier than an Alpha drive. Heavier drives than this would be your Mercury racing drives, your new ones, your old ones. They start getting bigger after this. But this is your biggest, I would call, recreational stern drive that they ever built for Mercruiser, Mercury. And thank God, I mean, if it's any inclination, this thing's heavy. They put a lifting hook on top of it. And guess what? It's literally perfectly balanced on that lifting hook. And I don't have to use a stern drive install tool to install this. So that's a huge win. And I mean, I've done Alpha drives, I've done Bravos, I've done Bravo 3s, Bravo 1s, Bravo 3s, and you are just muscling and using every ounce of your body's strength just to get that shaft aligned and inside the transom assembly without gouging up your gasket and seal that goes on here. And it's dang near impossible, and you say horrible cuss words and absolutely hate your life afterwards, and then worry every single second that you did it wrong because of how much effort and force it took to get these things in the transom assembly. Anyway, I digress. Very grateful this has a lifting hook on it, and I can use my gantry hoist to get this done. But here we go. So this is a TRS stern drive. It looks a little ancient. I know, that's because they are. But honestly, the technology that's inside of them is not a whole lot different than what's in a non-shifting Mercury racing stern drive. You know, it's an input shaft with a couple couplers. You've got your input shaft here with your splines. I'm pretty sure that's a standard spline. They still use the same spline today. Got a couple grease zerks. We'll grease those up. A seal here where the shaft goes in, and then obviously this housing, these steps here will mate up perfectly to our transom assemblies with our gasket in there. But in here, there's no cone clutches, there's no hydraulic shifting. Again, it is a permanently in gear drive. The shifting's done in the transmissions. And if you guys look here, if I spin this clockwise, the shaft down here also spins left-hand rotation. So on this boat, our props spin outward when you're in forward gear. So we're gonna put this drive here on the left side, and then when I have the other drive, I'll show you, when you spin its input shaft clockwise or left-hand rotation, the shaft at the bottom there spins the opposite direction. So we want our props spinning outward on this speedboat, and it's just really smooth, tight drive. We were talking about gearing, so input 90, there's a 245 degree, I think, yeah, gears in here. You've got a 90 degree gear set here, a shaft that goes straight down to our lower unit, and then a 90 degree gear set down here and goes straight out to our input shaft. So these drives are really tight. The previous owner had them rebuilt when the motors were pulled. He had them rebuilt every single year, and I've got the service tags on the other one to show that. But we're all good here. I do have to put drive oil in them. There is some in them already. What's nice is on these TRS drives, you can actually add oil from inside of the boat. There's a couple little reservoirs, and then this fitting right here actually detents this fitting here and allows drive oil to come out of this section here, which I just popped it for a second and drive oil started trickling out. So we got a little seal there that seals this up when it inserts and allows drive oil to flow from the boat down into this Sterndrive, which is really nice. I'll still fill it from the outside, so from the bottom up to this fill level, and then I'll top it off from inside the boat once it's in. But pretty simple technology. I think TRSs get a bad name because it's just older technology, but in all reality, they're still using the same tech in their racing drives. So these are simple, they're bigger, they're very robust, they can handle a ton of horsepower, honestly well over 550, 600 horsepower these drives can take, which is pretty awesome. Your limiting factor is going to be your transmission up there. This guy's just got to spin one direction or the other, and no shifting or clunking in this drive as well. That's another thing that's nice about these is this will act like an inboard straight shaft or V-drive boat with the velvet drive, so you have smooth hydraulic shifting in and out of gear instead of the clunk of cone clutches that you get from modern outboards or Alpha or Bravo 1, Bravo 3 Sterndrives. So I've got two new 20-year-old gasket sets, one from Mercury Precision Parts, one from Quicksilver. They're the exact same set. Those will go onto our transom assemblies here with new seal O-rings. These O-rings sit up right in here. I'll actually put them on the drive. They go right on that outer ring there, or that inner ring there. But I've got two new ones, so I'll put some lube on those. Use these two new ones that are in the kits. I've got a couple extra for spares. I don't think these were ever used. I think they were just here with the boat. So, all right, here we go. I'll do this one real time so you guys can see. I need to get some compressed air, clean this off. The guy had a wood shop and there's just sawdust all over these things. But I'll grease them up, blow off all the wood dust, use some Quicksilver marine grease to grease everything and grease up the shaft before we insert it inside of the boat, and use a little bit of bellows adhesive to stick this new gasket onto the transom assembly so it doesn't fall off while we do our install. Alright, I got a little perfect seal here. It's just heating it up. It's a little tacky, but just gonna do enough so that gasket can sit on here and we're not worried about it falling off. You can use bellows adhesive too. Pretty close to the same stuff. This is Quicksilver. There's only one way this thing goes on, so take it slow. Make sure all your bolts are aligned. and then just lightly press. And then right here I have my new O-ring. I'm going to grease it up. I'm going to put it on our coupler here. Alright, greasing this guy up. Going to slip him over the input shaft, slide him up here, and let him sit right there. He's probably not going to stay, but we'll be able to keep him in his spot as we slide it in. Alright, I'm going to grab the grease gun real quick and get those grease zerks. Alrighty. I'm sure these were already greased, but that was 20 years ago, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Another nice thing about the TRS drives is that the transom assemblies have grease zerks everywhere too, which is awesome. You know, I need to change my orientation here. There we go. Come on, buddy. There we go. Yeah. Do a few pumps. Alright, that's greased. Now let's do the outside one. Ugh. There we go. There we go. The grease is cold. Oh. There we go. Good to go there. Cool. So see this guy up here? This is for our steering pin, believe it or not. So you can grease your steering pin while it's out of the water. Alphas do not have this. I think Bravos might, but it's just nice. Oh yeah, buddy. Grease those steering pins. And let's see. Yeah, I've got one on the bottom here too. Right down here on the side. We'll hit him while we're at it. Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. There she goes. I'll go ahead and hit the other side while I'm at it, so I can do this once and be done. Real quick, I'm going to hit this just with some lubricant as well, because it's just been sitting. It's been in a climate controlled shop, but I'd rather have it be rustless going inside of its transom assembly. Mucho better. And I'm missing an O-ring on this shaft here. I'm going to have to go look in my supply kit, see if I have 2 new O-rings for this. Alright, let's go ahead and get this one on here. I think the hardest part is going to be picking up my trim cylinders. I got that other O-ring on my shaft, so we're good to go there. I actually found 2 new ones. Try and get the height perfect. All right. Go a little higher. Boy, having the hoist is nice. Just being able to perfectly slide this in. Oh my goodness. Whoops, what did I forget about? Forgot about my trim rams. Okay, set one there. Get the other up. Yep, all right, come on. All right, we're up. A little higher. Let that rest. All right, I'm in my first alignment, our first, we'll call it our gimbal. And wow, that slid right in. Starting to line up with my bolts. I'm gonna have to go down a touch. All right, yep, all right. A little more down, there we go. And now I'm probably gonna have to spin this over a touch. Get it to line up with my splines. I'm gonna fix my gasket. It popped off a little bit just because I was waiting for a while. I might have to put my prop on to spin this input shaft from the bottom. Let's see, where do I want this? I'm gonna go up a little bit. Come here, buddy. All I'm doing is spinning my splines over a little bit. All right, we're pretty close. I'm having to spin my shaft over a little bit so I can get my splines aligned. Keeping some pressure on it too, so when those splines hit, they go in. Oh, it's kind of hard. Everything is so cold. Let's see here. Making sure my gasket's not getting all garred up. Trying to get it more parallel so it can slide straight in. I just won't know when to push until splines are happy. This is why alignment is so crucial, guys. I mean, I would never be able to do this without my hoist either. I just moved my hoist forward so I have some constant pressure on it so I'm not having to push all the time. All right, I'm gonna grab a little tool to rotate the input shaft. And by tool, I just mean a screwdriver. That was something. Oh, something happened. I don't want to hurt my gasket, so be careful. I'm going to level the drive out all the way. Boy, it feels like it's right there, guys. It likes going down. Now I'm counteracting gravity. So, just to talk through what's happening. We're through our gimbal bearing, but now we're having to align with our transmission, the actual spline on the transmission. And that's what we're having a problem with. And if I don't get this angle right here, it's just gonna slightly miss constantly. So, it's a kind of a playful game until you can get it aligned right. Yeah, fun. All right, that's lots of wiggling and just small adjustments, and it finally popped in. So I'll take that. Yep, there we go. Wow, just slid right in. Oh my goodness, that was really satisfying. I like that. All right, let me grab my nuts here. Get two of them on. Woo! All right, took a little bit, but we got it. Hell yeah. That's awesome, guys. What size are these? 3/4 inches. Ah, there we go. Yeah, nice and easy. I'm gonna get the rest of these on here right quick. That is a win. Very happy with how easily that slid in once we had the right orientation of the splines. So, all right, what are the lessons here? You want a shop hoist, because that would be impossible unless you're a massive strongman, which I'm not. Patience, lots of grease, and be mindful of your seal while you do it. And obviously your engines need to be perfectly aligned with that alignment tool before you do any of this. It'd be impossible to get this in there if it wasn't aligned properly. So. I'm not going to go hard on these yet. I just want to see them start sliding in the, and I'll use a torque wrench for the rest of them. That is winning. Now I have a drive tie bar that will go between the two drives here, so I've got pieces that'll sit here before I mount in my my trim cylinders. But I'll show you guys that in a second. Let's go ahead and get this. Well, let's get this drive torqued up, and then we'll get this drive on. 80 foot-pounds for each of these 3/4 inch nuts. 80 foot-pounds. I'm gonna get them tight from the middle first. Go to the bottom. I haven't hit torque on any of these yet. Very, very happy with this, guys. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think these TRSs are definitely for those guys that like to take care of their own stuff. They're very serviceable, it seems. They've got a lot of access points, and especially if you've got freshwater TRS drives and housings, these are very pleasurable to work on. These are very nice to work on, and it's easy without all that corrosion. So I know that may not be easy to find these days, but not to 80 yet. These are big drives though, guys. There we go. I like it. Boom. All right. One down. Let's hit the other one. There you go. This one looks brand spanking new. You can see there's that tag I was talking about. So, spare starboard right hand. This was somebody's spare. This thing looks brand new. It's been used, obviously, but I mean, look at the paint up here. Heck yeah, brother. Spins over nicely, and this shaft, as you spin it left hand rotation, it goes right hand. See that? Hang on. There you go. So yeah, there's that tag, which is awesome. Now I'm gonna spray him off with air, hose him off with air, grease everything up, and get our gasket on here, our new O-ring on here. Hopefully this one slides in as easy as the port one. All right, not gonna lie, that one went on way easier than this one. All I had to do was make one rotation with the spline, the U-joint shaft, and it slid right in. So that was really nice. Same procedure as the other one, 80 foot-pounds of torque for all those bolts. And now we're gonna get our drive tie bar installed and our trim cylinders here all locked in. So this will be all set. I'm not going to put props on for now. I'll give you guys a quick debrief on what's going on in regards to props with this boat. I actually have 3 sets, and they're all quite different than one another. So don't get mad at me for putting dirty parts on this boat. I cleaned the spots and surfaces that I needed to before mating these drives up, but there is no point in me cleaning this right now. All of this can wait until, I mean, look at the dust that's on here too. The boat's disgusting as is. I need to wait until we have water again, so probably gonna move this to a different shop. But it's 15 degrees outside. I mean, there's no point wiping things down. This thing's gonna get a full bin, bath, and detail before it even thinks about going to the water. So don't mind the dust, you know, this stuff too, power wash, all that. I'll lube things up, but again, it's not the prettiest parts. Don't get mad at me for putting dirty parts on this boat. The boat's dirty. Everything's gonna get washed and cleaned. So here we go. Here's our drive tie bar. These things are pretty universal out there. This is about as basic as it gets for these units, but this piece right here sits in between this portion of the coupler of the trim on the drives. We got our rams that attach there on the end. And then our tie bar ties the two of them together so they are synchronized and don't go wandering in their own direction at high speeds. So you tie, I mean, they're tied together via a steering bar on the inside, but tying them together on the outside just gives you that double redundancy of solidity. So these drives, you know, are always pointing in the exact same direction. You don't end up with a bad situation at high speed. So let's slam this thing on real quick and see what else we can get up to. Here are my washers that have been patiently waiting. Sorry about all the shenanigans. I had a trim cylinder over here that didn't want to go down, so I had to bring it all the way up and then get them together, and then it could go back down. But there you go. We got TRS drives on with their tie bar. Everything bolted back up just fine. Now let's go take a look at our prop situation. I told you guys I'd show you that here real quick. So I have 3 sets of props. The 2 that came with the boat are these right here. I got a set of 23 pitch cleavers that the owner bought and allegedly gave him better top end and a lot smoother hole shot. I'm gonna do a whole test video on these 3 sets of props because they're all very different. So I also have a set of 23 pitch Mirage stainless steel propellers that look just like these over here. But they're in the box. These, however, are from the Chris Craft that we scrapped. These are a set of 25 pitch Mirages, 3 blade, same diameter, So what we have is 3 very different propellers that we can do performance testing with. These 25s, I bet, are going to give us a little top end speed for the boat, but it's going to be interesting to see how they perform versus how they did on that Chris Craft. I wasn't aware of how they performed in that Chris Craft. I was just told that with very similar engine package, the 25 pitch propellers could push that thing along at nearly 70 miles an hour. So that is encouraging because this is a very capable 65 mile an hour boat. I'd be interested to see if those propellers can get it close to 70. Well, I think that is where we're going to leave it today. I am pretty much done with this boat for the time being until we get warmer temperatures. There's a few more things I'd like to do and chase down. There's, let's see, this K-plane works. This one goes down but will not go up, so I got to figure that electrical issue out at the pump. This drive goes up and down. This one only goes down, so I got to figure out that as well. I know the trim senders don't work anymore and aren't hooked up. I just got to make sure that's bypassed at the pump inside the boat, so we've done that before. I'll throw our swim platform back on real quick. 4 quick bolts, no big deal. There are a couple spots that need to be ground down and re-gel coated that are chipped. The whole thing needs to be polished and waxed. I have a brand new plastic insert that's gray for this rub rail here that will do when it's finally warm out. You can faintly see the old name. I think it's Maria 2. That'll need to be polished out of the hull side. Where was that other gel coat spot? I think it's from loading on the trailer. Yeah, down here. I already put epoxy in it. It needs to be ground down, re-gel coated, and sealed up. You can see here, obviously, there was a problem with it contacting the trailer at one point. I may need to fix that. But yeah, I think at this point, new decals, polish the thing up, clean it, clean the interior like crazy. There is oil pressure gauge that's not working that I need to fix. And all in all, that's it. This is the 85 Formula 302 SR1. I'll probably have some update videos in the near future for small things on this, but until we move it to its next spot and really get to test it on a hose, I think it's just gonna sit dormant in the meantime until we're ready to go. So if you guys like this content, this is boat number 1 in my effort to collect 4 of these vintage formulas. I'll recap it again real quick. First vintage 1985 Formula 302 SR1. It's got the square windshield and the non-Silent Thunder platform on the back. Step 2, I think I want a 357 SR1 or a 311 SR1 that has the Silent Thunder and the curved windshield. Step 3 is a 92 to 96 336 or 303 SR1 where they incorporated the swim platform into the exhaust and the swept back of the boat. And then after that, 97 or newer, we've got the Fast Tech hulls. And I'd like a 353 or a 382 Fast Tech. So there you have it. This is step 1 in that whole process. Thank you guys for following along. It's cold out. You can see my breath right now. But I've been really excited to finally get this thing buttoned up and to a point where we can cap off that project for now and move on to other things in the meantime. So we'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you appreciate this content. It really goes a long way for me. And I will say, a huge goal of mine, guys, is get to 100,000 subscribers. At 100,000 subscribers, I can really lock in on doing this YouTube thing full-time to the point where it will actually comfortably provide for my wife and I. And we actually have a baby on our way. I don't share too much personal information about myself, but I'm trying. If you guys can help me out, get me to 100,000 subscribers, that would be amazing, because then it would just show that all this hard work in posting 3 days a week
12 to 15 times a month. Long form for you guys is actually worth it. So keep on sharing that love. Thank you everybody for being a part of this. And I just really appreciate you being here in the first place, all 45,000 and change of you right now. So, all right guys, thank you very much. My name's Ben. As always, we'll catch you in the next video. See ya!